You know, Florida has one of the most expensive and competitive Senate races in the entire nation. We're going on right now. And Senator Marco Rubio is concerned that he's lagging behind in fundraising to Congresswoman Val Demings. Our political editor, Craig Patrick, is going to join us now in our newsroom. Hi there, Craig. Break us down the money here and the attack ads that are coming in from both sides. I know we're seeing a lot, especially from Demings lately.
Yeah, keep in mind, while Republicans in Florida have a huge financial advantage in most of Florida's key races, that's not the case in the U.S. Senate race. It's just the opposite because Val Demings, the Congresswoman from Orlando, is outperforming Senator Marco Rubio, at least in raising money, and she's using millions of those dollars to introduce herself on one hand in one ad and in another ad to blister Senator Rubio's attendance record in the Senate. Take a look.
Marco, you've got one of the worst attendance records in the Senate. When Florida needs you, you just don't show up.
Now, for context on that, on average, senators miss around 2% of their votes in Washington. Senator Rubio has missed more than 9% of his votes since he took office, which statistically does rank him among the lowest in the Senate in terms of attendance. And a big part of that, by the way, was from when he ran for president in 2016 against Donald Trump, and Trump attacked Rubio for that same point time after time. And with that, Rubio is now responding with an attack ad of his own, one that he's approved at least, in which he chides Val Demings, not for her attendance record, but for her voting record.
Demings votes with Pelosi 100% of the time.
100%.
She called abolishing the police thoughtful.
Demings said violent riots were a beautiful sight.
Now, for context here, Demings' voting record first does align with Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now, on the other points, on abolishing the police, Demings has specifically said in her ad that she'll protect Florida from bad ideas like defunding the police. She said that is just crazy. But this attack ad that Rubio approved refers to an interview with CBS in which the host asked Demings if she supported Minneapolis City Council's vote to dismantle and rebuild the police. And then she responded to that question by talking around the question, at one point saying the council was thoughtful in looking at services that police provide, including responses to natural disasters and to terrorists. Now, on that third accusation that Demings said violent riots were a beautiful sight, she did not say that. That goes back to 2017. She did say that protests at UC Berkeley, student protests against an order she opposed, were a beautiful thing. That appears to be a reference to students protesting the Trump-era Muslim immigration ban. There were several protests at UC Berkeley that year, including a protest over guest speakers that did turn violent. We cannot find Demings referring to those violent riots as beautiful at any point. Mark?
What about Demings in terms of how much of an advantage may Val Demings have, at least in fundraising at this point, and how might Senator Rubio be responding to that?
It's a sizable advantage at this point. It really is. To date, so far, Demings has raised $43 million compared to $34 million for Senator Rubio. At this point, Rubio has a little more in the bank, $14.5 million to Demings' $12.5 million, but that's because Demings has spent much more on advertising. Keep in mind, Rubio's ad, he approved that. That was the NRSC on his behalf. So far, Rubio in total has spent around $830,000+. Looking ahead, Demings has booked more than $1 million looking ahead, but she has already spent some $11 million. So the momentum in this clearly favors Demings in terms of fundraising. For the second quarter, to put that in context, the second quarter of this year, Demings raised around $12 million, Rubio around $4.5 million, and Rubio responded on Fox News channel by saying, quote, he cannot get outspent and outraised 3-1 because otherwise he cannot get his story out.
Very interesting. Something to watch here. It's going to be a very interesting couple of months.
Yeah.
On many fronts, especially this one, though.
Sure.
Craig Patrick.